Box plots or box and whisker plots are used to display data. They only use 5 key points, and they can also be used to compare 2 different data sets. So, for example, test results from one class to another. And the other important thing is that box plots are drawn against a number line. They actually look like this, where they've got they're called box and whisker because they've got the box in the middle and then the whiskers on the end. Obviously, they're normally drawn a lot neater with a ruler. But they show the 5 key points of data. So the 5 key points are your lowest value and highest value, your lower quartile and upper quartile, and your median. So there's Q1, Q2, and Q3, because basically what a box plot shows is 4 different sections of data. And the box shows, which is between the quartiles, that shows the middle 50% of data. And then each whisker, the left-hand whisker shows the bottom 25%, and then the right-hand whisker shows the top 25%. So I'll do a couple of examples. The first thing is obviously putting the numbers in order. So once we've got the numbers in order, we then can easily say our minimum and our maximum. So if I fill these out, our minimum is 8, our maximum is 39. Then we've got to find our median, and we do that by just simply going through like we would normally do. So our median here would be 23 because there's 5 numbers either side. So our median is also known as the second quartile. So we'll write 23 in there. And then to find your lower quartile and your upper quartile, we use the bottom half and the top half of the data. However, because we have used 23 as the median, we now don't include that when we look at our bottom half of the data. So now what we're looking at is for our lower quartile, we are looking at between these numbers here, and we find the middle. So the middle number here is 11. So our quartile 1 is 11. And then for our upper quartile, we're going to be looking between 29 and 39. So our upper quartile is 32. Once you have those 5 key points, what you then do is pop them on the number line, but we just draw them just above. So I usually go through and just put a dot, trying to draw them mostly in line. And then once I've got those 5 dots, I actually join them up. But when I join them up, I've got to draw the box around the middle first. And then once the box is drawn, we just draw our whiskers out to the edge. You don't have to put the lines on the ends. I tend to just do that so it's a definite finishing point, but otherwise you don't have to draw that. The only tip is that you would draw these with a ruler normally. So I've got another example. I'll just pop the numbers in order. And I've actually just added one more data piece, 80, just to be able to show you what to do if you get an even data set. So again, we can go through and we can write down our minimum and our maximum because they are easy to see. The next thing we need to do is find our median. So when we're doing our median this time, we've got an even set of data. So our median actually falls between these 2 numbers here, 58 and 60. So normally, to figure that out, we would do 58 plus 60 and then halve it. Obviously for this one, because the numbers are quite close, we can work out that it is 59. And now this one's a little bit different because in the last example, you'll notice I circled the median here and we didn't use it to calculate our quartiles. This time, because our median isn't actually one of the data points, we include all of the data points for the lower and upper quartile. So here for the lower quartile, we're finding the middle of these numbers, and you can see that is 46. And then for the upper quartile, we're using all of these numbers here, and the middle there is 69. So we pop those in, and then just the same thing again. We put our data points on, so we draw all our points on, And then once we've got those points on, we just draw the box and the whiskers again. And again, you would just draw them with a ruler. The only other thing that comes up when we start to look at box plots is the actual calculation to determine whether or not something is an outlier. So previous to year 10, outliers are by sight. We can look at something and see whether or not it matches the data. When you get to year 10 and you've learned about box plots and data and all of that, you can actually do a calculation that involves the IQR. Now, the IQR is the interquartile range, and that is found by doing the upper quartile, Q3, take away the lower quartile, Q1. And then to find what the boundaries are of the data, so basically we're looking for the lower boundary and the upper boundary, and anything lower than the lower boundary or higher than the upper boundary is considered an outlier. And to find the lower boundary, we do quartile 1 take away 1.5 times the interquartile range, and to find the upper boundary, we do quartile 3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. And then the only other thing you need to know about outliers is if there was an outlier on this box plot, for example, I would put it in as a little cross or a dot further along the number line where it would be, and it would have been deemed an outlier, but it's still shown on the box plot to show that that was a piece of data, but it doesn't actually fit with the rest of it. So we have drawn it differently to the rest of it to show that it's an outlier and it doesn't quite fit the data. So that's a bit of a summary on how to calculate 5-number summaries for box plots and how to draw them, and to remember to always draw them with a ruler.